top when we had a fire truck stall.
You had a fire truck?
Yeah.
Okay, you won.
All right, everybody, 9 o'clock.
Fire truck that applied to.
Go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order.
Spend time with those. Yeah, exactly.
I have
Let's
experience.
go ahead and get started.
9 o'clock. Can I get a roll call?
Amy McLaren.
Here.
Jeff Gillis.
Here.
Cale Thompson. Paul Oxberger. Dan Parr. Conrad Moore.
Here.
Andrea Kloppenstein.
Here.
Paula Mendez.
Here.
Simon Maroon. Cindy Luce. Simon Grimm. Josh Ray. Ty Livingston.
Here.
Brett Tucker.
Here.
Mark Lee.
Here.
Wayne Aldridge. Dustin Sutton. Dennis Carr.
He's coming.
Okay, I see his name there. John Oliphant.
Here.
Patrick Meyer. Dan Korb.
Here.
Karen Dvorsky. Ganga Kreider. Charles Hess. Craig Laudermilk.
Here.
Josh Harkin.
Here.
LD Cheney.
Here.
Kofi Kissa. Shammer Robinson. Eric Miller.
Yes.
Ann Dubay.
Here.
Gene Olson.
It looks like we have Michael Huddleston online
Yep.
with us
Yes.
from Local Roads.
King Creider.
That's good. Thank you.
All right, we have a quorum. Do we have any public comment? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from October 15th, 2025.
So moved. I also have a comment.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Under number 6, about the multi-use path, Jesus. The multi-year plan, or program, I'm sorry. We had discussed wait until we got the IDOT federal program out before submitting them, but this indicates we were gonna have them turned in by the 31st, so.
Okay, if everyone in favor of that with the amendment, go ahead and say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 5, request a motion to approve A, B, and C under one motion.
Motion by McLaren.
Second, Gillis.
All right, Michael, I think this is you.
All right, okay, we have 3 today. So the first one here is project PC-27-02. This is the reconstruction of Sheraton Road from Shearbrook Lane to Norman Road. This project is being added to the FY27 program with funding from IDOT's FY24 local public funding. Second here is project PC-27-03. This is a intersection safety improvement project at 7 intersections within Peoria County, with 2 of the 7 intersections being located within our MPO boundary. Those 2 are the Hannah City Glassburg Road and Lancaster Road intersection, and then the Maple Ridge Road and Harker's Corner Road intersection. This project is also being added to the FY27 program with HSIP funding. And then lastly here is project TZ-2601. This is resurfacing of Broadway Road from 170 feet east of Springfield Road easterly to 930 feet east of the northbound Interstate 155 ramp. This project is being added to the FY26 program with funding from IDOT's FY24 local public funding. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 6, recommend to commission the Tri-County 2026 safety targets. Can I get a motion?
Second.
All Okay, Michael, is this you?
It is. Okay, within your packet here, we have a memo that goes over this, but just kind of introduction here, just at the federal level, the transportation legislation, which started with MAP 21, and then FAST Act, and now the IIJA, has mandated the use of performance measures to better assess federal transportation investments, progress to achieving our national transportation goals. The national performance measure systems require state DOTs and MPOs to set specific targets and then report progress in related transportation documents. Those targets are safety, pavement and bridge conditions, system performance, transit asset management, and transit safety. Today, we're specifically talking about safety. So IDOT set their safety performance measure in the August timeframe as part of their submission to the Highway Safety Improvement Plan annual report to FHWA. MPOs have 180 days to either support the state DOT targets or develop their own performance measures from the date the state DOT set their targets. So we have until February of 2026. It's important to note that state DOTs are the only ones that are assessed for significant progress towards these targets, so MPOs aren't assessed on that. In the past, Tri-County has elected to support IDOT targets. However, with the recently adoption of our Tri-County Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, the region now has a structured, data-driven methodology for monitoring and reporting safety performances. So consistent with our safety action plan and our adopted Vision Zero policy, staff recommends applying the plan's staged annual reduction of 4% to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2050. So within within the memo, on the first page of the packet at the bottom, outlines IDOT's targets for 2026. And then the second page of the memo has this graph that kind of shows the region's safety data starting from 2005 all the way through 2024. And then the last page shows the targets, the recommended targets using the 4% annual reduction rate. But with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
So we have a tool to report and monitor the data. We feel like our action plan is going to reduce the accidents. I mean, are we going to receive more funding? Are we doing comprehensive safety roadside assessments? I guess why do we feel like we can double the goal that the state does?
Right. So having the safety action plan does allow us as a region to apply for the SS4A implementation grant. So if you didn't have the safety plan, then you wouldn't be eligible to apply for that program. It also helps significantly with HSIP applications. So the goal is, yes, now that we have this, we would be able to and would be eligible and have more of a standing to request more safety funding to improve. In terms of the 4%, that's just basis of what the numbers came out to from the study to reach zero by 2050.
I'll ask the follow-up. So you're asking the committee to support doubling the rate, but there's no upside, basically, to double the rate as opposed to taking the 2%. We'd be eligible to apply for grants regardless of what we set our safety target. Is there any incentive out there that if we go for the 4%, that we're more eligible for funding? There's a higher score on some application that were more likely to receive safety funding. And again, if we don't meet the 4%, is there a big stick out there looming that's going to take away funding?
Right.
Or all of a sudden, hey, there's no way we're making 4, so now we're backing off and saying, no, we're gonna make the state standards of only 2%. And that's a little egg on our face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So for these actual performance measures, I show progress and show kind of how we're doing when we update our kind of annual or our MPO document. So in the tip, we have the performance measures and we show what our performance measures are and if we're kind of what the results are now. We also do that in the LRTP. So that's kind of how we show our progress. So other than that, there's really no other mechanism to see. So it's us reporting on it and showing in these documents if we're meeting it. I mean, we passed the Vision Zero policy. So to meet that policy, it would be the 4% reduction. So I guess that's my only thing is why I would recommend doing the 4% versus the 2%.
I'm not opposed to it, I'm just.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
What did we do between last year and this year?
So last year, we in the past, we've always accepted
I
IDOTs.
mean, now that you have the data, what percentage reduction did we have we met in the past? Because I agree, I don't want to say a 4% goal and then us be at 2%.
I would say if history's shown that we've exceeded the 4%, then that makes sense to support a higher rate.
I don't have that data in front of me, so I can't specifically answer that. So I would have to go back through the numbers. I do know in the past, we have been looking better than the state. Our numbers have been where it was an easy sell, just as, 2%, just because we typically are above that 2% for a reduction. But I don't have the data to show that right now to you all.
The methodology to support it is in that comprehensive safety action plan.
Yeah.
It goes back, however far it goes back, I don't recall, but
Yeah, it goes either 5 or 6 years worth of data.
so you're just extending that out, show that you're going to continue to meet that or.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no penalty to you guys as far as whether you meet it or not. That's on the state.
Right.
With ours. Benefits, not that I'm aware of. I mean, you guys could probably set some as far as what projects, if you wanted to consider safety as one of your, categories that you score some of your projects in for your STBG or whatnot, and include that in your scoring criteria. You could add that in there. But as far as our funding goes, I don't know of any, anything that would hurt you or necessarily if you were to meet these that would help you.
So the only MPO that I know that doesn't accept the state targets typically is Champaign. Do you know how that?
I do not, because I don't oversee them.
A little lesser or greater than?
Yeah, they're typically more aggressive. Yeah.
Does this have to be approved today?
It does not have to be approved today, but it would have to be approved at the next technical committee meeting.
January.
Yeah.
So you say it has a February due date. Commission wouldn't meet until that first week of February. Is that giving us enough time?
Yeah, I think it's the end of February,
February. Okay.
when it's due.
I think we were late getting ours out this year anyway, so we're a
We've got a
little.
month. We've got a couple months, but 1 month of meetings.
And again, if you guys got the methodology and the calculations and whatever to demonstrate that you can do this 4%, you can, this comes up every year. So if next year you're showing something different, you can.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a report that's ever going to come out that says, hey, we missed our target, other than what we're doing right here. And we do the assessment at this table. And so I don't know that there's, but I agree that we should we should be comfortable with doubling our percentage.
I can tell you right now, the state hasn't hit the 2% target the past few years either. So we've had to siphon money away from other programs into the safety improvement program too, because that's the penalty that we get is if we're not spending all of our safety money on safety related projects and we miss that goal, then we got to funnel funds from other program areas into safety. So we've had to do that. So yeah, I mean, it's a goal. It's, you know.
Well, if the 4% is going to get us to the 2050 no zero vision policy, then we can always adjust.
Yeah, we look at this every year, so.
Yep.
In our long range plan, it would show, I think, so looking at, so this would be 2022 and 2023. We met the fatalities goal in 2020, or no, we did not meet the fatalities goal in 2022 or 2023. We did meet serious injuries and serious injuries rate. In 2022 and 2023, we met serious injuries rate, and the number of non-motorized serious injuries. So fatalities, we were a little shy on.
And it doesn't have to be the same percentage for all of them either.
By meet, you mean the 2% or the 4%?
That would have been for 2% because it was 2% back then.
We met 2%, but not for all of them.
Correct, yeah.
I think the one thing that we'd hope to have done by this year for these this recommendation is have our safety committee in place. It's going to be accepted, I believe, at the next commission meeting. So a year from now, when we're doing this, we'll have sort of a year's worth of review and input from a committee that's designed to specifically look at these numbers and obviously the whole program. So it is entirely up to you if you want to wait for their recommendation for next year to sort of get sort of a serious number on this, or take the 4% and make the adjustment next year, or just take the state's recommendation.
I think it makes sense to stick with the 2% and then let the committee come back with recommendations next year.
I'd agree with that.
My only issue with that is the commission passed a Vision Zero policy. So if we did 2%, it would be below what would get us to that Vision Zero by 2050.
But between next year and then 2050, can we then be more aggressive? Let's say if we go with the 2% now, and in the next couple of years, we'll just be more aggressive, right? If you can't meet that target, so you're just gonna have to do some calculations to see what is that new percentages
Of course, yes, yep,
after the committee is put together.
yes, yep.
And I think that Vision Zero was sort of a requirement that everybody had to kind of agree to that as part of the Comprehensive Safety Action
It was,
Plan. So there
yes.
are other MPOs out there that also did safety action plans that have that same commitment, that don't necessarily have their own targets either. I'm not encouraging you one way or another. I'm just letting you know that there's others that are in that situation where, yes, we did Vision Zero, but we're still going with the state. But you guys can do what you, until we're told otherwise, you can.
And I think if we don't have any changes, funding, programs, et cetera, just doubling the goal to make the math work is not going to be actually make the change that we need versus having a committee that's recommending funding, programs, et cetera, and then implementing them and then getting those numbers up. Makes more sense.
Well, and you also have reauthorization coming up, which is supposed to be done by October 1st of next year for the next federal transportation bill. So maybe in that bill, they'll have some sort of program that does fund, projects that show some sort of improvements on the safety side of things for implementing some of these projects. We don't yet know what's going to be in it, but that's a possibility. So,
From my perspective, I think we obviously take safety into account for everything. We have, if we were to have a call for projects for safety, you guys would have a number of projects that would meet every criteria. I think I agree with Andrea where we're just doubling it to make the math work. Seems a little silly if there's no sort of action behind it. So I would move to amend the motion, I believe, to accept the 4 to take the state's percentage of 2% and recommend that to the commission.
Second that amendment.
Is there a second?
I seconded the amendment. Yes, sir.
All those in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then we need to accept the motion as amended. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, we have some updates. Item A, just a reminder to get your BLR 17100 forms and maps for all your federal and state funded projects to IDOT. Anything else on that?
Yeah, just make sure you copy me when you submit those. Tri-County did get our letter from IDOT, so those letters have gone out. So when you do submit, if you could just make sure you copy me. If you've already submitted, you didn't copy me, if you could just forward that on to me with attachments, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Is that just for projects in the
In the
NPO?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, IDOT, local roads. Michael, you have an update? If you're talking, Michael, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have much of an update other than to say that we've started the local funding projects, working with central office to see how the upfronting money for that is going to work. But we've been having kickoff meetings with all the local agencies that have received that funding. I think we've met with most of them now. There may be a couple left to go. That's kind of our big thing. Safe routes to schools. We've received the projects that have been submitted for district review. I don't know if any of them came from Tri-County area or not. I haven't seen the projects yet. I just know that we've got them and we're going to start reviewing them. And then, of course, the MYP, that's the big thing right now. Jacob Weck is going through those as they come in, and then we're going to put together the program. But I think that's all the update we have for now.
Questions for Michael? Michael, has anyone from central office got an update?
Have any update?
I don't see FHWA on here, so move on to other. Looks like our next meeting is scheduled for January 21st, 2026. So Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Before you conclude, I was at a meeting at central office yesterday, and just so everybody's aware, there's going to be a TARP NOFO coming out, so truck access route. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. There will also be an opportunity for railroad grade crossing funds. So keep an eye out for that in the next, I don't know if it's going to be a couple weeks, but we're anticipating it's going to be out pretty soon. So if anybody's interested, kind of start thinking about that.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Anything else except a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Want to do all that transit.